Cruelty loves an audience. That night in the diner, 4 boys thought they were comedians. They pointed, they laughed, they mocked, not words she could hear, but expressions she could feel. The girl sat silent, deaf, holding a sign that said more than 1,000 insults ever could, "Please help me." And the boys, they thought silence meant weakness. But then the door opened, and Jason Statham walked in. The laughter stopped mid-breath, because sometimes help doesn't come with words. It comes with a glare sharp enough to cut the air. The diner itself was the kind of place you only find off highways and small-town streets. Chrome counters, faded menus, the hum of fluorescent lights that hadn't been replaced since the 90s. Coffee refills came cheap, and the pie was always fresh, even if fresh just meant it hadn't been frozen for more than a week. That night the booths were full, truckers, locals, a couple on their 3rd date pretending to like each other more than they did. It was ordinary, boring even, until the boys decided to make themselves the center of the room. They weren't tough, not really, just loud enough, drunk enough, and cocky enough to believe they were untouchable. 4 high school heroes who'd already peaked before 21. Letterman jackets worn like badges. They needed an audience, and unfortunately they'd found one. And then there was her. She was maybe 15, 16 at most. Shoulders pulled in like she was trying to fold herself smaller. The kind of kid who never caused trouble, who wanted the world to look past her. Except the world, cruel as ever, had picked her out. Her hearing aid was visible, a small, blinking device, and that's all it took for the boys to circle like sharks. They mimed speaking slowly, exaggerated gestures with their mouths. They laughed when she didn't react. One even snapped his fingers in front of her face like she was a dog. That's when she reached into her bag, pulled out the piece of cardboard, and held it up. "Please help me." The laughter got louder. They slapped the window. One of them mouthed the words back at her, twisting them into a cruel chant. "Help me, help me, help me." She looked down, maybe hoping someone, anyone in that diner would step in. But the thing about crowds is this: everyone waits for someone else to be the first. Until the door opened. Jason Statham didn't walk into the diner so much as he arrived. Heavy boots on linoleum, black jacket, shoulders squared like he was carrying a storm inside him. He didn't look around for a seat, didn't even glance at the menu taped to the wall. His eyes went straight to the window. Straight to her. And in that instant, everything changed. The boys didn't notice him at first. They were too busy pointing, laughing, shoving each other like hyenas. But the diner did. A hush rolled through the booths like someone had turned down the volume. A waitress froze mid-pour, coffee overflowing the rim of a cup. The couple on the date stopped pretending and just stared. Jason's gaze moved from the girl to the boys. It wasn't a glare. It wasn't a scowl. It was worse. It was quiet calculation. The kind that says, "I've already measured the distance to you. I know how many steps it'll take. I know how many bones will break before you hit the floor." And for the first time the boys faltered. Their laughter cracked just slightly. One turned, spotted him, and forced out a shaky grin. "Oi, what are you looking at, Baldy?" "Wrong question." Jason didn't answer. He didn't need to. He stepped closer. Slow, deliberate, each footfall like a countdown clock. The girl saw it too. Her eyes widened, but not in fear, in something else. Relief. She lowered her sign just enough to peek over the cardboard at him. He gave her the smallest nod, a promise carved out of steel. The boys shifted, their bravado leaking like air from a punctured tire. One tried to laugh again, but it came out hollow. Another nudged his friend, whispering, "Mate, that's Jason Statham." The leader, because there's always a leader, squared his shoulders, puffed his chest, and forced a smirk. So what? He's just some actor in it. Thinks he's still in a movie. This is real life. Jason stopped. He was 2 feet from the window now. His reflection loomed beside hers. He leaned down slightly, eyes locked on the girl first, then flicked back to the boys. And then he did something none of them expected. He pulled a chair, sat down, folded his arms on the table. Didn't raise his voice, didn't throw a punch, just waited. The diner was silent now. You could hear the hum of the neon sign outside. You could hear the tick of the clock above the counter. Jason let the silence stretch. Longer. He knew silence was a weapon too, and in that silence the boys began to unravel. The leader sneered again, but his voice was thinner. "What, you think you're gonna scare us just sitting there? You're washed up, mate. Not in a movie now." Jason tilted his head, one eyebrow lifted just slightly. The kind of look that says, "Please keep talking, give me a reason." The girl's hand tightened around her cardboard sign. Her knuckles went white. For the first time all night, she wasn't looking at the bullies. She was looking at him. And Jason, without turning, tapped the table twice. Subtle, calm, a signal. "I've got you." The leader snorted, tried to laugh, but his eyes kept flicking to the door, to Jason's fists, to the muscles coiled beneath that jacket. He knew they all knew the game had shifted. What they didn't know yet was just how far Jason was willing to go. The leader's laugh cracked in the silence, but it was thin, hollow, the kind of sound you make when you're trying to convince yourself you're still in control. He jabbed a thumb at Jason and smirked. "Bloke thinks he's in the transporter or something. Ain't no cameras here, mate, just us." Jason didn't move, didn't blink. He just let the words hang in the air, heavy as smoke. The silence pressed harder, like the whole diner was holding its breath. One of the boys, the youngest looking of the bunch, leaned forward with a nervous chuckle. "Come on, man, he's just some washed-up actor, ain't he?" The leader latched onto that like a lifeline. "Exactly, he ain't scary, he's just actin'. Look at him, he's—" Jason stood. The chair legs screeched against the floor, not loud but sharp, like a blade pulled from a sheath. The sound cut through the diner, through their bravado, through their laughter. Jason stepped once toward the window, just once. The boys flinched, all four of them. The girl didn't flinch. She watched, wide-eyed, hope blooming where there had only been fear. She still clutched her sign, but her hands weren't shaking anymore. Jason tapped the glass, two knuckles, precise, slow, the kind of tap that felt like a countdown. "Step outside," he said, voice low, rough like gravel dragged across concrete. The leader blinked. "Wah, what?" Jason leaned closer. "You've had your fun, now you're gonna step outside, or I'll bring you outside." The diner's air turned heavier. You could almost hear hearts beating. The couple in the corner leaned forward, mouths open. The waitress by the counter gripped her notepad so tight it bent in half. The leader tried to laugh, but it caught in his throat. "You can't talk to me like that, Jason cut him off without words. He tapped the glass again, harder. The sound cracked sharp through the silence. The youngest boy whispered, "Mate, let's just go." But pride is a louder voice than reason. The leader squared his shoulders, puffed his chest, and spat on the ground. "Fine, you want us outside, you'll get us outside." He shoved the door open with his shoulder, swaggering like a man who didn't realize he was walking into his own obituary. His three mates followed, muttering, snickering, trying to summon courage from his shadow. The girl pressed herself back into her seat, cardboard sign trembling in her hands again. Jason gave her a look, calm, assuring, a promise written in silence, "You're safe now." Then he turned and walked out. The night was cool, the kind of cool that bites when you're nervous. Neon lights from the diner flickered onto the cracked pavement. The four boys spread out, trying to make themselves look bigger. A pack of hyenas circling what they thought was prey. Jason stepped into the glow, hands loose at his sides. Calm, measured, the kind of calm that makes your stomach drop because you realize the man in front of you isn't scared, and maybe you should be. The leader smirked, trying to mask the tremor in his voice. "You think you're hard 'cause you've done a few movies. You ain't a fighter, you're an actor, and us," he raised his fists, sloppy but eager, "we're the real deal." Jason's eyes narrowed just a fraction. "Prove it." The boys whooped, trying to feed off each other's energy, but the sound cracked at the edges. They were putting on a show for each other, but deep down the fear was spreading. The leader lunged first, sloppy, wide hook. Jason didn't even step back. He tilted his head an inch. The fist sliced past his cheek. In the same motion, Jason's elbow shot forward, crack, square into the boy's nose. Blood sprayed. The leader stumbled, hands flying to his face, choking on his own pride. The other three froze. For a heartbeat, they didn't move. They just stared at their leader, shocked at how fast it had happened. Jason tilted his head, voice low. "Next." The second boy didn't think. He charged, fast, desperate. His fists windmilled like a playground fight. Jason sidestepped, grabbed the back of his jacket, and used his momentum. Slam, face first into the brick wall. The thud echoed. The boy slid down, groaning, leaving a streak of blood on the concrete. The youngest backed away, eyes wide. "Mate, I'm not, I don't." The third shoved him forward. "Get him." The kid stumbled, terrified. Jason caught his arm before he even threw a punch. For a moment their eyes met. Jason saw the fear, the regret, the dawning realization that he didn't want this. Jason didn't hit him, didn't throw him, just shoved him aside. "Go home." The boy didn't hesitate. He bolted into the night, sneakers slapping the pavement, gone before anyone could blink. That left two. The leader staggered back to his feet, nose bent, blood dripping down his chin. He roared, swinging wild again. Jason blocked, caught his wrist, twisted. The crack of bones echoed as the leader screamed, collapsing to his knees. Jason leaned close, voice like steel. "Apologize." The leader whimpered, shook his head. Jason twisted harder, the scream tore through the alley. "Apologize to her." Jason's voice was steady, unflinching. "Now." The boy sobbed, nodding furiously. "I am sorry, I didn't mean I'm sorry." Jason shoved him down. The leader crumpled onto the pavement, clutching his wrist, gasping. The last one standing, the third, swallowed hard. His bravado was gone. He looked at Jason, then at his mates broken on the ground, and did the only thing he could. He dropped to his knees, hands up. "Please don't." Jason stepped back, eyes cold. "Then leave and don't come back." The boy scrambled up, dragging the leader with him, both of them limping into the dark, too broken to look back. Jason walked back into the diner like nothing had happened. Calm, collected. He brushed a fleck of blood off his sleeve and sat back down at the booth. The girl was still clutching her cardboard sign. Her hands trembled, but her eyes were locked on him. Jason gave her a nod, subtle, reassuring. She lowered the sign. For the first time all night, she allowed herself to breathe. The diner didn't cheer. They didn't clap. They didn't dare. Instead, they sat in stunned silence, watching as Jason poured himself a glass of water from the pitcher on the table, like it was just another night. The waitress finally found her voice, soft, shaky. "Sir, your meal." Jason glanced up. "Pie, whatever's fresh." She nodded quickly and hurried off, relief washing over her face. The girl still stared, eyes wide. Jason leaned slightly toward her, his voice softer than before. "They won't bother you again." She blinked, nodded once. Her lips formed the words without sound, "Thank you." Jason gave her the smallest smile. Then he leaned back, sipping his water, waiting for his pie as if he hadn't just dismantled 4 bullies in under a minute. Because for Jason Statham, that wasn't a fight, that was a message. And everyone in that diner heard it loud and clear. Word spread like it always does. By the next day, the whole town knew. The bullies wouldn't admit what happened, but their busted noses, limps, and missing teeth told the story for them. The girl, she walked to school the next morning without her shoulders hunched, without her eyes on the ground. She didn't need the sign anymore. And Jason, he didn't stick around for thanks. By the time the sun came up, he was already gone. Another town, another diner, another story waiting to happen. Because Jason Statham doesn't go looking for fights. But fights have a way of finding him.